All right, traders, welcome to today's recap. This is Christian Farmer. It's Tribeca Trade Group, and it is just after 4 o'clock after the close on Thursday, September 5th. So we'll go over all today's price action, a lot of option flow today. It really felt like a lot of chasing. We had one of these days, at least in the beginning of the day, where it felt like a chase for some of the under-owned areas of the market, right? And this is the same script is what we've been seeing for whenever there's, I don't want to say progress, but when they talk about more trade talks or the trade talks resuming, it seems like a massive grab for some of the under-owned areas, industrials, steel names, energy names. Energy may be a little bit different because oil has been going up, but I don't know if that's attributed to that. Maybe indirectly. Semiconductors, the banks, all these under-owned areas, and then a flush out of some of the, areas where people have been kind of setting up camp and hiding out, like the utilities, all names that we've been talking about, which have been really, really probably at this point a bit crowded. And they're going to see these flushes, right? We've talked about this before in the past, where the software group for a while has also been kind of the hiding place too, and that also you saw a lot of money, I think, start to come out of that. But it's a constant like seesaw battle with the fact that there's going to be some winners and some losers when they talk about this isn't even talking about the possibility of a trade deal. This is, by the way, just talking about talking again. So, but nevertheless, I mean, I think it's really just a lesson of areas that have gotten so under owned and nobody wants them because of fear. And then when something positive does happen, it doesn't always have to be the possibility of trade talks. But it's just always a lesson in trading and investing that when an area gets, where the consensus is that nobody wants in the group, they can really fly when they get some positive news. So we'll look at today's. We did rally. We got to the high point was around 10:15. We kind of gave back some of those gains and then rallied a little bit more in the afternoon. But maybe there was some profit taking here at the close because that was some of the biggest red candles of the day. Let's go through not only talk about the S&P, just looking at where we are now on as always. Whoa. On the daily chart, the one really nice takeaway from this is that we are out of this horrible disgusting range that we were in for a month. It kind of felt that way, that things were going to resolve itself to the upside. I think I said that. I really try not to make things up on a day-to-day basis. But I think I said I was leaning, even though I was disgusted, I think yesterday at the price action and seeing all those defensive areas being bought up again yesterday. But I did say that I thought we had a chance to kind of move to resolve ourselves higher, which looks like I was correct on that one. So we'll see if we can hold it. And it's amazing how close we are to breaking out to new highs in the S&P. I wanted just to look at a couple other charts, but Qs as well. I think I talked about the Qs needed to go a little bit further. They are now out of that, and then we'll just look at IWM, which again, just very odd. It did not close on the highs. Still finished up 1.9% and outperformed. But let's see, how much was this thing up today? Oh yeah, look at this. This was at also at right around 10:30. Just again, this to me feels like when you see a move like this, it also has to do with short covering, right? People just on the wrong side of the fence, and they're forced to cover when that type of thing happens. So to me, if I had to guess, there's probably more short covering, people just on the wrong side of the move today, which again is happens a lot, right? One of the things that I'll just go back to the S&P, just circle back to this S&P chart, where we could also be headed is this version point of control that's up here. So if you're looking for like a target, 3014 could be the level. That's something that we went over in the pre-market session. So today's price action, just to kind of look at the breadth, what performed the best. We saw this again today. This was, I think, was on my watch list yesterday. Robotic stocks outperformed quite nicely, up 2.6 for the day. Again, look at the oil services. Uh, I've been saying for a while, and I'm always happy to admit, even when I'm wrong on things, but I've been saying that these energy stocks, for the most part, are a sell into strength. Maybe they're going to try to turn the corner here. I don't know. I don't really have any. I don't have any energy exposure, and I haven't for a while. But I would think. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, crude actually finished flat for the day. So yeah, I kind of still think that. I still think that strength. That's the way it's been going with the trend. If you're a trend follower and you're watching things like XOP and so forth, these bounces have been great places to reinitiate shorts, right, through this trend. So we'll keep an eye on that. They've been great shorts, I think. Again, I haven't really been playing the energy names either way, just as a spectator. Three names that I was looking at this morning, and then we'll talk about some of today's option activity. But by the way, I always like to mention these, but look at silver give back the gains. I mean, silver's been absolutely nuts. Now, I wouldn't per se, take a victory lap on silver going down, because it's been, really, really well, bid the last week, and I think we talked about how overbought it was in yesterday's video, right? I think the RSI was around like an 82, 80, 84 or something like that, without going into the charts. Bonds also very weak on the day. They continue to go lower. I was curious to see if they were going to bounce back. I actually tried a little day trade right around the lows of the day, but I don't think I managed to get one target and then kind of fell asleep at the wheel and ended up having to take the trade off for a little bit less than my cost basis. So, which was fine. It was a day trade, but I think I put it on somewhere in here, hit one target, and then had to take it off a little bit lower there. But yeah, no coming back in bonds. And one of the stories I think also, which kind of accelerated us to the upside, was the ISM non-manufacturing number came in. I mean, this is we were talking about this. I like to obviously get everybody prepared for the day ahead, but I was saying that I thought the expectations were too high going into this print. 54, I was expecting like maybe a 52, considering that the ISM manufacturing number, again, this is non-manufacturing, came in less than expected earlier in the week, but yeah, 56.4. So again, it's so funny because you always go back to how many stories of recession that the media has been talking about, trying to get everybody all onto the side of thinking that there's going to be a recession. I think I don't have the chart in front of me, but I remember I saw it on Twitter where somebody was talking about the spike up in stories about recession. And we'll just kind of revisit that just for a second. I mean, that recessions sometimes come when people are not. You kind of feel like when everybody's expecting something, they're usually wrong. It's just how it works. But I mean, how many articles are we going to see where people are wrong? That's very expansionary. Now, again, it depends your view. Manufacturing seems like it's been in a decline for a while, but non-manufacturing is not. So I don't know how you can cut rates 50 basis points. And I guess that's the other argument, because people are like, well, we want to cut rates. I mean, do we really want to cut rates? I personally would rather have us have a strong economy than cut interest rates. I like that the Fed is willing to be there if we need it, but I don't know. I'm just not in the camp that I want to see the Fed cut interest rates. I want them to stop balance sheet reducing and taking liquidity out of the system, which I believe that they've said that they've stopped doing that. But in any event, so let me get to a couple charts for the day. OLED, this is something that we talked about this morning in the pre-market session. This was one of my I mentioned three charts that I liked. Unfortunately, I did not chase this name today, so I feel like a big dummy. We actually talked about this yesterday. We talked about the OLED in the trading room, and I said that I liked it. Here's the. Should be able to find this relatively quickly. Yeah, here's the chart from yesterday. I'll just take a quick screen. Whoops. But yeah, whoops, didn't mean to draw on that. But I said found support at the 50-day moving average. I said I like it. Shame on me for not putting this on. Sometimes that works. Also, yesterday, going back to yesterday's call activity, we saw calls in Alley, which is my favorite name in the banks, or in the banks. Alley Financial up nice. I think we talked about this in yesterday's video. Also Akamai too, out to a 52-week high. So wow, I mean, really nice looking pattern, by the way. In Akamai. So I kind of feel I don't own any of these. So usually, like, I'm happy and participated and so on, but I kind of feel unsatisfied for not taking these. But it is what it is. Sometimes you just don't pull the trigger. Another name that I like a lot right here is Abbott Labs. This is a name that had this one I am in. This had great earnings, and then it's just kind of slid down with everything else. So I like this name a lot. I think it gets back. It's got to get above 86.17 for confirmation purposes out of value. But it's my favorite within this medical device group. What else? So for call activity today, Twitter. That's a name that I've been sitting long for a while. All kinds of call action in this thing today. And like I said, a lot of chasing, right? I mean, we didn't really see much call activity before that. But sometimes it's just the way the tape is. Everybody's grabbing for this stuff as the name's up 4%. Typically, that's not really how I like to trade. When things are up, 3-4% and people are piling into it. This is another one that we saw earlier. Big block of calls that went up in what's the name? Keys, which again had great earnings. I think this one can push higher too. Keys, Akamai, OLED. Those are some nice momentum names. Lulu, by the way, nice earnings quarter. They continue to deliver. It's really so they're up to 193, which is probably a little bit less than what they were implying for earnings. But I'll tell you, what helps me with earnings, and again, I did not play Lulu because it was up 4% today. But look at the earnings history that these guys have. So very strong. Other names, I don't know what they're doing with Snap. We never know what they're doing, but just a crazy amount of calls traded in Snap for September, both the 16.5 and 17. Sometimes when they trade this much, it ends up being a fugazi, meaning they're doing something else when somebody trades 60,000 at the money calls. So we'll see. I did own a little bit of it. What else for option activity today? I feel like there's so many names. Let me go to my option activity channel in Slack. Intel was another name for the second day that we saw calls. Carvana calls. Stamp.com calls. Oh, SE. This is a name that I went long yesterday. Smartly took a target on it yesterday, and then I added back that target this morning. So we'll see what this name wants to do, but the call buyer looked like they returned in the name today. Going out to January too, so keep in mind they're not the usual pump and dump weekly stuff, they went out a little bit further than that. And then a lot of chip names, again, a lot of chase for the chip names. All right, guys, so that's it. We'll keep today's video. Well, it's actually not that short, but we'll see what tomorrow holds. We'll see if we get some continuation. But we've had a nice couple-day rally. Also, wouldn't be surprised if we get a little bit of a breather as well tomorrow. All right, guys, have a great night. See you tomorrow.